And welcome to the If They Can Do It podcast, the podcast that interviews absolutely ordinary people who do extraordinary things and wants you walking away thinking, hey, if they could do it, so can I. And this week, I've already introduced him. I've introduced him 3 times, which means this episode is the one that is styling, profiling. Irving, do it. Finish this out, bro.
Limousine
Yeah.
riding, jet flying, son of a gun, the four horsemen. We are back, baby.
The 4th episode with the one and only Irving Dominguez. And you know what? He looks good. I haven't seen him walk. I don't know if he's still sore yet. I don't know if he's still looking like a baby deer after running in Jackson in the Tetons. But he just got done with not just a half marathon. He did his first half marathon in January. But even before he signed up for that one, he signed up for one in the Tetons in Wyoming, had all this elevation gain, just a crazy race. And he just got back from it. It's been so hard with us as friends, you being a text away, a FaceTime away, to not ask questions. We were talking before we hit the record button. Bro, finally, I get to find out how this experience went.
Yeah, first off, thank you so much for having me for a record four-time four
Let's
horsemen.
go.
Always a blessing and an honor to be with you, connecting with you in any shape, way, or form. But yes, I have knocked out my second half marathon that I technically signed up before I did the first half marathon that I did, and it was beyond an amazing experience. Like you said, elevation gain, like incline, like rolling hills. I walked like I was Bambi for 3 whole days. Thankfully, I'm walking normal now. I'm moving and grooving now. But it was quite an experience being out there in the Grand Teton Mountains in Wyoming.
Yeah, dude, when you signed up for it, because okay, I said it in the intro, but was that correct? So you signed up for this race before your first half marathon. You even signed up for that one, right?
That
I
is
thought I remember
correct.
that right. Okay.
Yeah, it'll be almost a year since I signed up for this race. So the Grand Teton Half Marathon is ran by an organization called Vacation Races, and my buddy at my Apple store at Barn Creek, Ian Howerton, is a humongous national parks guy, and he's always wanted to run a half marathon in the Grand Tetons, which is his personal favorite national park. Most people don't want to just randomly rip 13.1 miles, given in general, let alone in the place at the Grand Teton. So he saw that with my personality and like my ambition, he was like, he seems like a guy that would want to do it. So we signed up for it, and then I signed up for it almost a year ago, and then with the angst of wanting to do well in this one, I ended up signing up for the Austin International Half Marathon that I did in January with you and Terrence. So now I've had two under my belt and two very, very different. One downhill, very fast course. This one, not so much.
Hey, but it's 2 down. That sounds to me hashtag
Mm,
undisputed.
hmm.
Undisputed world champ. I mean, that's
Oh my
that's it,
gosh,
bro.
yeah.
So tell me, tell me about it. I mean, we looked at when I looked it up, you just signed up for it. You didn't know about the elevation gain. You didn't know, because I think when I looked it up, I'm like, bro, I think there's like 2,000 feet of elevation gain in this race. And you're like, oh, well, they took my money, so I'm doing this thing, right? How so started from the beginning. What did you think? What do you think of Jackson? What did you think of National Park? How was the race? Like all that. Just break the whole experience down. Cause I don't think you've been to a place quite like that in any ways, right?
Not at all. The closest that I've been to in regards of a national park was the Grand Canyon growing up. And obviously
Yeah.
you go there so many times in elementary school for field trips, you kind of get tired of it. So this trip, not only was it an incredible experience for, competing and, participating in a half marathon, but also like finding love in like nature, being out in a national park, getting to see wildlife. So the breakdown is, I flew into Salt Lake City, Utah, because I fly Southwest and Southwest is flying to Jackson. So my friend recommended, he said, hey, I've done this before and it's a beautiful drive. Fly into Salt Lake City, we can rent a car and then drive from Salt Lake City all the way up to Jackson, Wyoming, which was just, farmland, rural areas, and then turned into like forest life, wildlife, and everything like that, which was absolutely beautiful and incredible. And then driving into Jackson was just insane, so beautiful out there. And then I thought I made it. And then he was like, no, 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 we're not staying in a hotel out here. We're staying at the Grand Teton National Park at like their tent village. So then we drove out of Jackson an hour into the national park. And then we stayed in like a tent, for 3, 4 days.
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
in the national park, I'm like, you've seen some of the pictures that I've posted on Instagram, and if you guys haven't, you can guys check it out, Dominguez. Like I was like in the national park. Like I could walk to a big lake with the Grand Tetons there. Like I was fully immersed into it. Wildlife was everywhere. Like just driving in between Jackson and our campsite, we're driving past elk. We're driving past like a herd of bison just feeding.
I
Just
saw that. Yeah.
insane. Absolutely insane. Being fully immersed into that was incredible. So, um, it's one thing, doing it in like a heavily populated metro city for like a half marathon, whatever the case may be, but getting to do it in a place that was so gorgeous everywhere you were and getting to run and compete was an absolute ball. I loved it.
Dude, and I know we've talked about the fact that like you going and becoming a hybrid athlete through all this, going from powerlifting to running. Like, what does that environment of competition that's in Jackson? How does that differ from like having to hype yourself up, smack yourself in the face, having people around you like hitting you and smacking you in the face, in order to
Mhm.
get a lift done? Like, what have you found that you get out of that environment where people are hyping you up to get ready to deadlift, a PR that you've been training for
Mhm.
versus like a place where you're watching deer in the middle of, the grass?
Such a great question because, like you said, I came up in like a strength sports background, strength training, done bodybuilding, done powerlifting, and yeah, there was a lot of high energy, a lot of just, brute violence into those sports and hyping each other up, slapping each other on the back. I called it Slap City, to where like it was just so peaceful and so quiet. Like I had no service where I was at. The only time I had service was when I was able to connect to Wi-Fi in like the general store area of the community, but like when I was up in like the tent area where I was at, completely disconnected. And I think that's what has made me love running so much is it's so quiet and peaceful and you're like kind of in your own space and like you kind of like enter that flow state when I've done like my long runs and when I've done these competitions, it's like just so peaceful and it's so calm. And like I find so much fulfillment in that versus like, I'm not saying that I regret doing those things in powerlifting. I don't have any regrets, but it's been a beautiful transition in contrast with what I've done before in competitive settings and what I do now in competitive settings. And it's just so much fun.
Yeah, it's interesting because you used a word there where used the word flow,
Hmm.
and that whereas powerlifting and stuff like that is based on a burst, on almost like an explosion of everything versus running, which it is a flow state. How do you train yourself to be in a flow state and like feed your body over a long period of time to be able to endure for a long period of time? It is a different thing, and it's kind of crazy that both of those sides are inside of you, and you've
Hmm.
accomplished crazy things with both of those sides of you, and are going deeper. Now it's like going deeper into the side of Irving that endures for long periods of time, that is in a flow state and rides that roller coaster of it being easy and then it being hard. And, training, being frustrated with training, and you work so hard and things don't go to plan. And man, I was able to run this distance so easy here, and elevation and all that kind of stuff. Right. Has that been, what have you learned about yourself kind of digging into this side of who you are?
I think that like train now in a sense of peace, and that's it. Been able to transition, even though I don't power lift, I don't compete in powerlifting much anymore. Not saying that I, won't ever do it, but like when I'm in the gym now, because I obviously still incorporate
Mhm.
a lot of strength training into my weekly routine, I'm in such a state of peace versus I was like, short bursts of energy in these lifts, especially when I was still doing like a lot of compound lifts, a lot of powerlifting based movements. And now I've been able to like learn and adopt a flow state that I've had in running and then implement that in the gym to where like I feel so peace and so calm, and like I still continuously get notifications on my watch saying that like my resting heart rate has decreased because of like general fitness as
Mhm.
well as like, less stress, whatever the case may be. So I feel like that has implemented into like my flow state in the gym, but also like my flow state at work, my flow state like in my personal life. It's really just helped a lot. And a lot of that I can attribute to you because you taught me those things about like just like low and slow, like one foot in
Yeah.
front of the other. Those things that like I had like literally like a year ago had no idea what that
Yep.
was, what that felt like. And then hitting those first few moments of getting into that flow state and just kind of flying just really takes it a long way for me now.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's crazy because I was reminded of our first runs together because in our Saturday crew, um there was a couple people who joined us this past Saturday, and one of them, one of them, like pretty much brand new, getting back into running. You know, not in a place athletically that he wants to be, and we did 4 miles, and it was at a point where like, you know, he couldn't run the whole thing, and that's fine. He was like run walk run walk. Um, and I was just telling him like he was asking how long you've been running because we were talking about your race. I had brought that up. And I said, actually, it's just over a year since we started our Saturday runs. Like I think it was April of last year that we started. And I said, this is just your day one. You know,
Hmm.
the first day with Irving, it was kind of frustrating because I was like, nope, we gotta what's your heart rate at? Nope, we gotta slow. And you knew that you could run
Yeah.
faster, but like, nope, run slow, run slow. And I don't know. I just think I think it's important that wherever you start, that there's somebody with you who will be there with you, you know, when you start. And so when he ran, I ran. When he walked, I ran slower, you know, and his walking speed, I was just right there with him, kind of just jogging, however
Hmm.
slow he was walking, you know. That's kind of the good thing about having short legs is somebody else could walk and I could still be jogging, you know,
Sure.
kind of a thing. And dude, your progress through that, I think it's so important taking on something like this and having somebody with you who will do that. Like wherever you're at, let's do that. I'll meet you there. And let's just kind of do this thing together. And that's the cool thing about running. Is it's just about being out there. It's
You
just
just got to
about
show
doing
up.
it. Yep. Yeah. And dude, it's really cool. So all right. So you're in this beautiful place. And what are you going through emotionally going to the start line? I mean, because it has to be overwhelming the context that this is happening in. I mean, you're sleeping in the park that you're running in. Like, what's
Hmm.
going through your head the morning of?
Well, the morning of was very, very early. I'll share with you this. So we stayed in the Grand Teton National Park, and then there's Jackson. So it's almost an hour away from where we were to Jackson. And then the start of the race was outside of Jackson up into Teton Village, where all those ski resorts are at.
Okay.
So that was going to take about an hour and 20 minutes from where we were to get to the start line.
So
And then
how much elevation? What did you start at in elevation? Do you know?
I don't know off the top of my head. I wish I would have pulled that data before, and like I'll maybe we can supplement that.
Yeah,
Um,
because you're starting high.
we
Like
started high.
you were high in the mountains.
Yes, we were high in the mountains, like
Okay.
1000%. So so I woke up at 2:50 in the morning just so that I had enough time to start fueling, to obviously brush my teeth, get ready, and then drove all the way down to Teton Village. And then, like 10 minutes down the road, the shuttle took us to the start place, and just when I've had this feeling in like bodybuilding and powerlifting settings, but this feeling is so much more overwhelmingly present when I'm about to do a race.
Yeah.
And especially because like, you're there, everyone's around you, everyone's kind of like shaking out, getting warm and whatever the case may be. It was cold out there. I think it was like, 38, 40 degrees when we're at the start line starting to file up. But the feeling that you have and the reflection that you have of your entire prep, um, just settles in hard. And
Yeah.
like you get emotional. I felt very, very proud. I thought about like literally 3 or 4 weeks before where I was having like early signs of heat stroke in my like 13-mile practice run, to where I had to like call it at mile 10 because I was throwing up and I was not able to like run
Wow.
straight. So thinking about that and being like, I still didn't quit, didn't give up. Here I am, and I'm about to give it everything that I have, and I'm about to, show what like why I belong here. Even though I still don't look like everybody else. Like I'm much bigger than everybody else, but like why I belong here and just like the emotions of prep, those mornings waking up at like 4 a.m. on a Saturday because we got to beat the heat out here in Arizona. So
Yeah.
like, and just showing up. A lot of times those runs are alone. I was very fortunate to have my sister join me in a lot of these runs, but when the runs got longer, I was running solo, and that
Yeah.
was like the emotional state of it because like I had you, I had Terrence, I had Matt with me the entire prep, and that really carried me through to finish that first half marathon. But then when it got to like the
Mhm.
last couple months of my prep, like I was running solo and I was running like 3 to 4 times a week. So like it was like a lot of just solo time in my thoughts and like just grinding through. So just an incredible sense of like satisfaction and pride to where I got to, as well as just the emotions of like reflecting on the entire prep, as well as, what I'm gonna do to be able to push forward after this race.
Yeah. Okay. So it's there's a lot there. There's a lot there. First, a lot of people don't know what that feels like to be mile 10 and feeling the way that you were feeling. You said you were alone in your thoughts. What were your thoughts on that run as you start to feel a little wonky and you start to feel a little like not in your body a little bit on that run? Like what are you thinking? Cuz had you ever felt that before?
No, because like in the sports that I've done before, there are small like spurts. So
Yeah.
like especially in powerlifting, like in a powerlifting setting, if something didn't feel right, I had 10 minutes to get off of my feet and just kind of like hit the drawing board again real quick and like
Yeah.
just approach it differently. But when you're in the suck running, there's no stopping. Like you gotta keep going. So you have to be like adapting on the fly and figuring out what you need to do. So like when I was in my thoughts and when I was struggling at some points of the race, because not a lot of people think about like everyone thinks about the beginning of the race and at the end of the race when like everything's like happy go lucky. But when you hit mile 10, mile 11, mile 12, and things are hurting, my calves cramped up again, those kind of things, like those thoughts and those sentiments really matter. And it's just like I was just talking to myself, being like Irving, you got this. Like push through. Like you've already been here before. Like just continue to push forward and like just you then start to then look around and lean in on each other. People that are in like because like for the most part you're running around the same people those entire
Yeah.
13.1 miles. So you start to like encourage each other and knuckle touch each other and stuff like that. And then that kind of gives you a second wind and a fire. So like that last like probably like quarter mile before I crossed the finish line, my legs were totally locked up. Both
Yeah.
calves locked up. Right hamstring cramping. Left hamstring was already starting to pull. But like it didn't matter at that point. Like so you just pushing past the limits of what you thought you had.
Yeah. Dude, see, I love, and it was subtle what you did with your answer, but what I loved was it wasn't about what you were thinking in the training. It was using the fact that you had experienced what you experienced in the training and applying it in the race, where you're like, no, if you've experienced suck before, and so you could do this, right? I love how it's not, the point isn't that what happened was bad. The point is that bad and hurt is going to happen, so you put that in your back pocket, and you remind yourself who you are. They don't know you, son.
Yeah.
Was what
They don't
was
know me,
what
son.
I mean, they you would yell that whenever it would get hard on our training runs, right? And even
Yeah.
even to yourself, both of us would just get quiet and listen to music, like right next to each other. I'd be listening to podcasts, you'd be listening to Kanye. The only reason why I know is because I would hear you saying the lyrics, right there.
Yep.
And
Yep.
like sometimes you just had to say that, like, they don't know me, son, to get through it. And yeah, the people around you on those races are huge. How many people, was this the first? No, it wasn't the first smaller race you've done, because I've done smaller races with you to do that. But how many people ran it? Was there a big to do and all of that
It
kind of stuff?
it was pretty big. I didn't get to see the stats, but based on like what I saw from the start line, I would probably say probably upwards of like 700,
Okay,
800
nice.
people. So
Yeah,
it's a pretty decent sized group.
yeah. Was it road and trail?
Road and trail. If it was like trail, it was like more like paved trail. It was like paved
Okay,
road alongside trail.
Texas
So
Trail.
Texas Trail, I would definitely say. We did run on the interstate at one point. So like I was literally on the interstate on a high incline hill.
Okay.
Awful.
All
Awful.
right. All right. So yeah, let's talk about that. So walk us through the actual race, how you're feeling. It sounds like at one point things turned, um, and all of that. Walk us through what happened.
Yeah. So I felt great. I felt my nutrition was good. I felt like I had everything was like felt locked in. I felt great. And it showed because like my splits were like fast. And I think that was part of the problem. Um, so mile 1 through 6 is very different from mile 7 to 13. Let's just say that. So mile 1 was 11:34, mile 2 was 10:41, mile 3 was 10:41, mile 4 was 10:36, and mile 5 was 10:54, and mile 6 was 10:46. So like
Bro,
you
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 thought you
were
were running Austin again. Those are like your
yeah.
Austin splits.
Honestly, I think those were faster than my Austin splits for that first half of the race. I felt
Yeah.
great. I felt really, really good. I felt really powerful. And we talked about it. Like mile 1 through 6 was like a slight gradual incline. And then like once you hit mile 6 through 13.1, it just skyrockets in elevation. And that's where I started to hurt because it went from like, mid to higher tens for my average pace, where I was putting up 12, 11:55, 12:18. Mile 10 is when I started hurting, 12:57. Mile 11, I wanted to die. I was at 13:41. Like, so, like, just a very, very contrast in like my splits. Um, I felt really, really strong, really great. I'm still, because I guess you could say like I haven't gotten a lot of like longer distance mileage under my belt. I'm still learning how to navigate like in longer distances. Like I feel like I'm still learning how to navigate my runs post mile 8. I feel like if I'm doing a shorter run between like a couple miles to 8 miles,
Yep.
I feel pretty good, feel pretty strong. I feel like I can handle anything that kind of gets thrown in front of me. Anything past mile 8 is where like if there is something that goes a little wrong, I'm like kind of like trying to figure it out in the moment.
Yeah.
I don't really know what to do yet. And that's where like it showed. And then the last about quarter mile, I went down to like a 10:14 pace because I just pretty much like emptied the gas tank and I was cramping. But I was like, I don't care. I was holding a 10:14 pace that last like quarter mile stretch.
Dude, I'm proud of you. And just because with the figuring it out on longer distances, you actually already answered the question. I just want to make sure that you know that. You answered the question already, and you know what to do, or at least try first, which is, what do you think I'm going to tell you?
like, take it slower at the beginning, and
Yeah.
like just kind of like I felt good, and I think part of it too is like I feel like I'm a lot more disciplined in training. Like when I was
Yeah.
doing like my 8 mile, 9 mile, 11 mile runs when I was here in Phoenix, like I was holding a pace that I knew I was comfortable with. Right now, like when I was doing the prep for the Austin International half with you, we were doing like 12:45 to 13.5 minute paces just so that we
Uh,
can get the mileage in. Now I can probably comfortably hold an 11 and a half to 11:45 minute pace. So realistically, I was holding about a minute to almost a minute and a half faster pace that first half of the race. So I think that's what essentially bit me in the butt like later on in mile 6 through 12.
yeah.
So just the way that I'm disciplined in the training setting is I just need to hold that in the race setting because it's really easy to kind of like get lost in the sauce on race
Yep.
day with like the emotions, with the energy.
Yep.
You know, like I told you earlier, like I was running alone most of the time to now I'm running with like dozens of people around me. So then you don't really realize how fast you're going because you're just holding the pace around everyone. So
Yep.
a combination of different things. So and this is huge because I am going to be doing something really huge next year, and I know I have to stick with this game plan. I have to.
Yep. Yeah. And I think what you just said, you realized it. It's super smart. Keep it. Do not be afraid to slow down. Slow down early to speed up later.
Hmm.
That was huge. So even during the Austin marathon, or the Austin half that we did, there was a learning there for me. That was actually the first half that I didn't cramp at all. And I think what helped me was coming out of the gate, I dropped back. You know that I dropped back, and you
Yeah.
continued, and you continued to go. What ended up happening is about mile 8 was when I said, okay, now I can push, because as part of my training, my midweek training, I would just do 5Ks as fast as I could,
Yeah.
just to feel it, and train my heart to slow down when I would just go all the way, and then use the long runs just to kind of level out and do that.
Hmm.
And bro, like, there's two things, and you already know this. I'm just saying this for the listeners. There's two things that'll cause your heart rate to go up, and that's speed and that's incline. And so if you're not on an incline and you need your heart rate to come down, slow down. If you're on an incline, like if you get an incline, your heart rate's gonna spike even if you're staying the same thing. So for a race like Jackson, where the incline's coming, that you can't go the same speed, and you noticed you did slow down. But I bet you a lot of that was because of the incline, and you were exerting the same amount, but your heart rate, I bet if you look at your heart rate, it spiked a
Hmm.
ton.
It
And
did.
that's just using more resources. And unless you start putting in gels and more gels to prepare for it, to give your body that fuel and that glucose, but that's something, that kind of elevation gain isn't really something that you can do in Arizona to train for, to do that, unless you were doing like hills at Thunderbird or something, you know.
Yeah. The closest thing I got was taking a couple days, and I drove up to Flagstaff, and it did help quite a bit because
Yeah.
that did humble me a little bit because like I wanted sub 230 really bad. And I ran laps around Buffalo Park and Flagstaff. And it's just like I was training, like I've been using the Runner app for my programming, and I was running at like goal pace, and goal pace was holding like a 10 something. And I learned really quickly running a few sessions up in Flagstaff that I'm like, that's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
Not it's going to happen, but it's gonna be not realistic for this race.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, my heart rate got as high as 170, which is not I've had like I
Bro,
remember
from when you started? Yep.
our trail, our 8 mile trail, dude, I was pushing 190 at one point. Like I
Yeah.
was, but it was at that point I felt like the oxygen I was exerting, I couldn't get that back in. Like it was
Yep.
hard. It
Yep.
was a lot harder to
Yep.
breathe. And that was something that was just like a learning experience for me.
Yep. And that's a great point out too, because elevation. is going to give you less oxygen, and that's what your muscles need, for that. And so, yeah, no, that's a great call out. But dude, to keep it around 170, yeah, bro. Like I remember frustrating runs where you're like, I can't get it down. It's in the 180s. Like, what the heck is
Yeah.
going on with my body right now? And that one race that you did by yourself, you're like, it spiked to 180 out of the jump. Like, I don't even know what happened. Like all
Oh
that
my
kind of
gosh,
stuff.
that
You
drove me
remember that?
nuts. Yeah,
Yeah,
my average was 160 for this race.
dude. Let's
So
go.
it was like, even though I didn't hit the goal time, but still, like, my goal, like, this time was a minute longer than the Austin International half, but I felt much more confident in my abilities. I felt like I was in much better shape, and my heart rate was much more under control. And when running in January versus running in June. So, like, there's still a lot that I took away that I'm incredibly proud of.
And
I'm
in the
seeing the
mountains
progress
and that elevation gain, like on top
and
of
that
it, bro,
elevation
you would
gain.
have crushed. You would have crushed the Austin Marathon, like half marathon. Like,
I want
yeah.
to run it back now. After this, I was like, man, if I ran in this shape in the Austin
Oh.
International half, oh man, I would have been like a good 10 minutes, faster.
Dude, yeah, that's so good. Now tell everybody how fast did you run it? What was your time?
My time was 2 minutes and 30, I mean, not 2 minutes, sorry, 2 hours 37 minutes and 57 seconds. And then I ran the um
Let's go.
I ran the Austin International half in a 2:36 and change. So I was just about a minute off of what I did, but the goal was 2:30. So even though I struggled quite a bit that last few miles, like, still being 7 minutes above the goal is like something I'm still very happy and proud of, and still it gives me a lot of motivation to continue to, like, press forward for what I'm trying to do now.
Bro, do you as for comparison, do you want to know my time for my first half marathon that was the rock and roll in Phoenix?
Yeah, what was it?
4 hours.
Damn.
Dude, like 4 hours, and so, bro, like hats off to you, like really, really good. Running in nature, I think you got the bug. I think you're gonna need a trail one coming up, like
Trust me,
real
I am
trail.
I'm considering it, brother. Like, I already dusted off the trail shoes that still have the blood stain from last year. And I feel like I'm gonna start ripping some trails.
Let's go. I mean, dude, you have Thunderbird right there. You can get 9 miles
Mhm.
in Thunderbird, and on it, I think it's 1,000 feet of climbing that you can do if you do all three peaks.
Yeah.
And bro, like,
And
let's
also too, like, I've been like, I love, so I get a lot of inspiration and I learn a lot from, like, obviously, like, the Nick Bear, like Luke, Luke Hopkins, and like all these people. But now I'm starting to come across more trail peeps like Andy Glaze, and I've been watching a lot of Max Jolliffe that just won the Moab 240.
yep.
And like, just like, dude, like, the aesthetics of like a road runner to like a trail runner is so vastly different, but they're like so cool at the same time. Like, I'll watch like three Max Jolliffe videos back to back to back, and next thing I know, I want to get a butterfly tatted on my thigh. Like,
Right, right. It's true. It's true. But like, it's a butterfly, but full as gritty as all get out.
hmm. So yeah, it's kind of like with strength training too. Like, you find something that you like, whether like you get started in bodybuilding or you get started in powerlifting, and then you start branching out to different things and finding out what you like more. Is kind of in this, like, chapter of where I'm in running now. Like, I started with trail with you and Thunderbird a couple years ago now. Was struggled with it, was like, this is challenging, but I don't know if I'm gonna like this. To
Yeah.
then, like, you dragged me out to Brushy Creek and we ran, and then started doing some run clubs, snatched a few souls at the Inaka Run Club in Austin, and then I was like, oh, this run thing is kind of cool, and then we did that, and now I'm like circling back to trail a couple years later, and I'm like, this is pretty cool.
Dude, that's so funny because literally on Saturday, I was telling who I was running with, I was talking about that run and how that was the first time that you saw and you confirmed that like, nah, I just snatched that full soul, like
Hmm.
in a race, because there were some people who were not happy that we passed them, so then they'd pass us, then we'd pass them, and there's a moment where you see their soul break, and
Yeah.
you know that you bagged them, that you grim reapered them, and you own
Hmm.
their soul, and we didn't see them again, you
And all we
know.
did was hold our pace. That's all we did
that
is we held
that
our pace.
that was it. And it was a 3 mile run, that was the
Yeah.
crazy thing too, is it was a 5K. And when we passed them, I remember making a comment to you of like, they broke, we
Yeah.
snatched, like, oh
Yeah. Because yeah, a lot of people were treating it like they ran it like they're hoping to run that 3 miles like it's like at an all-out mile pace. So
yeah,
by the time that they hit the turnaround point is when we started creeping up because they
yeah.
got tired.
And they were just like, whoa, okay, all right, here's two kids, because I mean, I know I lost weight, but I did not have the aesthetic of most of the people who were at that run. And then, the big
No.
Dominican, because you were just starting to there,
Yeah.
and it's like, nah, we're gonna creep on you, we're gonna
I
creep
was
on you.
pushing I was pushing almost 250. I think it was like 247 to 250 at that time. I'm like 234 right now. But
Yeah,
like yeah, I was a bigger boy when I started running with you.
yeah, yeah, dude. Oh, so good. Did you happen to witness any of that on this race? Did any souls break?
Oh my gosh. Yes, I did, but I pushed him. Like I kind of
Nice,
pushed his way.
nice.
Like yeah, he was like like a little bit shorter than me, stockier, so it looked like he knew his way around the gym. And at that point we were hitting like a really long straightaway, and he was at that point doing like walk jogs. Like yeah, he was doing walk jogs.
Yeah, yeah,
And he looks over at me and we give each other knuckles. And he's just like, man, you're moving for a big guy and then struggling. And then I'm like, come on. Like, I'm like, he was about to stop and start walking again. And I was like, come on, dude, we're almost there. We're almost there. So then I put my hand on his back so that he could still keep up with me.
yeah,
And we pretty much ran the rest of the way through. So
dude.
yeah, like his soul was snatching, but at that point it's like I didn't even want to let him like get behind because we were just motivating each other for a good
Yeah.
couple of miles. So
Yeah. Oh, dude, that's awesome. So, yeah, I have a couple races. Not races, one run, and then one race coming up. I'm going back to the 8 miler to go do that one
nice. Heck,
that
yeah.
we
But it's at
did.
a different park, right?
Yeah, it's at a different park. It's the day before we go to Colorado and Wyoming, the Sunday before. And I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna go do it. So a little bit
Heck
of
yeah.
nostalgia, like go do that 8 mile run there. And then Terrence found like a 4 mile fun run that like a running store is doing.
Mm,
And you get like you're gonna go run 4 miles, and they'll give you these shoes because they're testing these shoes there.
mm,
So like it's free, and then you just go like get the shoes and then run.
that's sick.
And then so that'll be a nice little morning, and then looking the Austin Rattler for a 20 miler in November. So
Yeah.
training in earnest for that still would start in a couple weeks. So that's gonna be that's gonna be a lot of gym in the morning, and we were just talking gym in the morning, run at lunch, get home, be a husband, parent, all that kind of stuff after work. And yeah, it's gonna be a lot, but let's go see if I can do it.
Heck yeah, no, man, you're gonna rip it. I'm super stoked for you, and like, man, I miss y'all so much running with y'all, but like, I know you guys are gonna do well. For me, like, it's the rest of this year is going to be just focusing on getting in like some pretty good shape and
Yeah,
like drop and shedding some more pounds, because yeah, 2026 is gonna be a big one for me.
let's go. Let's go. Hey, and Vacation Races has a lot of great races. And
They
so
do.
they
Some
have
are
one
harder than others.
they have one in Moab, they have one in Arizona.
Yeah,
Um they have one I think in Joshua Tree. So if we all need to look at something for 2026
yeah. Well,
and
I
have
already
a
got something.
reunion.
Yeah, I got something locked in March.
Oh, I know. I know, sir.
Yeah.
I know, sir. I know, sir. Are you wanting to say it, or are we going to save it?
No, we're gonna say it. Like, I'm ready to shout it
Let's
out.
go. Let's go. Shout it out. Do it. Do it.
After much contemplation and just seeing the progress so far, um, it started with, can I do it? If I can do it, to like when I'm gonna do it, and I am gonna do it. So March 8th of 2026, I will be participating in the Los Angeles Marathon. I'll be
Hey.
finally I'll be finally tackling the 26.2. So I'm super stoked. So the rest of this year is going to be focusing on getting in the best shape of my life. I'm going to be focusing on doing a lot of cross training. Like I actually like ordered some speedo jammers. So I'm going to swim. I'm literally going to be doing everything I can to get into some incredible shape and, finally tackle the big one, tackle 26.2 miles.
Let's go. Let's go. You know what though? I think that's not going to be enough. I think ultra is
I
going to
think
be enough. I mean, I'm just
yeah,
saying.
I'm not, I'm not opposed to it, to be honest. Like get me some 2 inch, 3 inch shorts. Get me a camo hat and a
Let's
butterfly
go.
tattoo on my thigh with a Satisfy running vest, and I'll probably be ripping a 50 miler
Let's
within a couple years.
go. Let's go. Do a couple years. Come on now. Come on. Come on. I think the Boston's going to be training for the ultra, and you're like, well, I already trained for that. That's going to be done. I mean, I don't know. I just remember you not believing me when we did the 8 miles to be like, hey, a half marathon's only a little bit more, bro. Like you
I
could if you
looked at you
wanted
like you're
to.
from a different planet. I looked at you like you're from a different planet. I was like, bro, what do you mean 13 miles?
I'm like, it's not many miles more, man. If you had a couple months, you could run a half marathon in a couple months, you know? And here you are, man. Congratulations. I mean, of course, everybody, we're going to be following that journey. It's a whole new thing for you, man. I'm stoked. Let's at this point, because we're going to shift gears here in just a sec. Give everybody what's your Insta? Where can people follow you, watch you as you're going through this whole thing?
Yep, I am super incredibly active on Instagram. So if you guys want to follow my journey, what I'm up to, how my training is going, this, that, and the third, or have me post about a lot of old school music and my vinyl collection that I'm growing, you
Oh,
can follow me at IRV underscore Dominguez, my last name, DOMINGUEZ. You can follow me there, get the vibrations going.
let's go. Let's go. Well, we know that running and endurance and any sort of goal that you have is not just about the actions it takes to do that. It's about having your mind right so that you're framing the work in the right way, that you're being encouraged along the way, that you have that person running by you, having their hand on your back the way that you did in the race. And so Irv and I have a little announcement that we are going to be supplementing this podcast, the If They Can Do It podcast, with a little bit of inspo, not from an interview, but we are going to be taking on a project that you can be inspired by some of the lessons that we are learning together. We're going to be putting something out once a week. Irv, do you want to tell them a little bit about what we're doing?
Yeah. So,
Let's do it.
as you guys know, we are big fans and draw a lot of inspiration from BPN, specifically Nick Bear. He is releasing his book later this month, or not later this month, literally in like 6 days. He's dropping his book, Go One More. It is a motto that I've really held near and dear to my heart going through this endurance journey, this running journey. And we will be reading this book, and we'll be jumping on the If They Can Do It podcast, and going over what we took away from each chapter, a couple of chapters, lessons that we've learned from it, maybe draw some inspiration that we're currently working on, or just talking about experiences or ways that we've related to what Nick Bear is talking about, as I have been a super huge BPN fanboy since like day one of my journey. So I'm super stoked to be a part of this.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm even thinking about this. Literally, when you were talking, we've talked about you and me starting off that we were the Big Boy Run Club. This might be the Big Boy Book Club. Who knows?
The
Like we may be doing it.
layers.
That's the brand. Let's just do it. Oh, merch. I'm buying those URLs right now,
Yep.
and we're gonna snag them up.
Make a trucker hat. I'll wear it every day.
Let's go. Let's go. Now we're gonna be going through the book together, and really it's gonna be just chapters at a time. This is not going to be a book report. We're not gonna be kind of just talking about oh, and this chapter talked about blah, 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 blah. This is not going to be a book report. This is actually going to be about what we took from it, how we're going to apply it to our training, to our lives. Sometimes it may not even be. I mean, I can 100% guarantee you that a lot of the lessons we're going to be able to apply just to our lives, you know, whether it's for me being a husband, a parent, whatever. Obviously, when it comes to our training, because both of us are going to be in the thick of training as that happens. And so, yeah, it is going to be a supplement to the interviews that are here to add value to you. And it just so happens that all this is on the hills of Irv finishing this race, us going into, you know, capping out summer, which it's already going to be July and getting into August. That's crazy. Capping out summer and going into the fall where things are hitting high gear for us. So we want you to come along with us. Definitely hit us up. I mean, I have ideas. I have ideas for things. And so we'll see what this turns into. Maybe it's just going through this book and that's all it was supposed to be. Maybe not. That's really going to be up to you and what Irv and I get out of this. If it's really feeding us, then you know what? Well, maybe we'll continue it. I don't know.
Let
But
us
we're gonna
cook.
play. Let's do it. We're gonna do this, and hope that you come along the journey with us. But Irv, the last question every episode, all right,
Yeah.
is some people are gonna say, "Hey, Irv, I've heard different parts of your story. I heard powerlifting. I heard, you know, your very first time you came on, it was how did you overcome this injury? And when people said that you couldn't, when you were told to quit, and then now here you are, not only on that knee running half marathons, training for a marathon, using the body part that you were told that you wouldn't be able to use, like this story of all 4 episodes, completing the 4 horsemen of episodes. Like some people are gonna think, bro, that's good for you, but I'm not sure. I'm in the thick of it, and so you could have confidence because you can look back at your achievements. I don't have those things on my belt yet. What do you have to tell those people, bro?
Keyword, yet. You just said it. It's you the fact that you're saying yet means that there is still a possibility. There will be a possibility. There will be the opportunity of making those achievements to be able to overcome those obstacles. Like at the end of the day, my progress was never linear. I've had to overcome obstacles. I've had to go through the thick of it. I still go through the thick of it. I'm probably going to go through the thick of it tomorrow. But the what matters most is showing up for yourself first and then giving it everything you have, and the progress and the results will follow. But as long as you say yet, that means that there is still that possibility of achieving your goals, and then you manifest it to then make it to reality.
Ah, love it, love it, love it, love it. I can't add anything onto that. I'm excited for what's about to happen. The book's about to come out. We're gonna read it. We're gonna get even more thoughts, more ideas, add depth to what we're going through on training and just learning lessons, you know, as we do this. And so appreciate you, man. This past year, we were family before that, but I feel like this past year has just been insane for the both of us. I'm so grateful that we were, and this sounds weird, but I'm so grateful that we were out in Austin alone, and that because we were lonely, because we both had Saturday mornings open, that we met at Brushy Creek early in the morning, and we decided to do this thing together because I think ultimately, because we both did that, some people are going to be encouraged by that, and so I'm excited to see what happens, man.
100%. Feeling is mutual. Very, very blessed and thankful for you, brother. And thank you for always giving me that platform.
Let's go, let's go. And so, if this encouraged you in any way, go ahead. Remember, subscribe, leave a review. Not because, oh, we want more subscribers, nothing like that, but because that's the game of podcasting. We will believe in you until you believe in you. I promise you that. And so this week, your homework is do something to make you proud of you, all right? We'll talk to you soon.